What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the Titans Rundown. I am your host, Micah McCamey, and in today's episode, we are going over another mock draft that I did. This time, it's going to be a little bit different, and instead of it being my mock draft one, my mock draft two, I'm going to be going over different scenarios of like, what if we do this? What if we do that? Like all of that good stuff. So, because like the last mock draft I did was more of the idea of what if I went for uh tackle in the first round and then I went for uh receiver receiver in the second. And this time it's going to be a different theory of like what if I do like it's going to be a different theory from the left tackle one. I'm just going to tell you that right now. So yeah, I am really excited to get into this if I'm being honest. And oh yeah, obviously before we start today's episode, I just got to tell you all this real quick. Okay, this isn't the comeback of the 2.5 to 3 minute segment. That's not about the Titans. No, it's just something that I wanted to mention briefly. If you haven't followed me on Instagram or Twitter already, first off, go do that. Second off, you probably don't know about this, but I got my ring finally after a long time of waiting patiently. I got my ring, and I'll be honest, I have that was loud. I have not done I've not been on that many teams that are just like true winners in sports, at least as a player or even as just like something else. So, having this ring makes me really happy, honestly, because it's one of the first things that I've actually won in a sport. And was I the camera guy? Yes, but I still played something of a role. So, I am grateful for the opportunity that I had to be on a state championship winning team. So now moving on with today's episode. So, this was something that I just wanted to get off my chest real quick. Just a real quick rant for y'all. So, the national media is trying to make it out to where the Titans are a genuine candidate to get Russell Wilson in free agency since he's just been released by the Broncos. I don't think y'all have any clue how upset it makes me whenever I see other Titans fans talking, not other Titans fans, but other people talk about how they're national media and they know, everything about every team and they have inside sources everywhere. And then they go on and tell you that the Titans are a likely landing spot for Russell Wilson. That is the worst idea that I could ever hear. All right, because here's the thing. First off, we already have a QB. His name is Will Levis, and he could be a dog. I'm not saying that he will be, but he could be. And second off, even if he was brought in as a backup, do you really think that that's a good idea, Mister Unlimited, Mister oh yeah, I'm going to have an office of my own separate from all the other players, Mr. Businessman himself. Like, that's a horrible idea to bring him in as a backup because then the national media is going to be more focused on him than they are going to be on the rest of the team themselves. And also, if he's a backup, the moment that Will Levis does something has a meh game, everybody's going to be calling for Russell Wilson to go into the game, and that is not something that I want to see. All right, so it would be like we could go get like a Josh Dobbs or a okay, maybe not Josh Dobbs. That's a sensitive name for some people. We could go get like another backup QB, like a oh man, what's his name, Jake Brown, like a Jake Browning or something like that, and we can play Will Levis, and people don't think, oh, this guy needs to, you know, this guy needs to be benched for Jake Browning because he had one bad game, like that's just interesting. So like also their play styles do not match up. Russell Wilson is a improvising QB who works really well with uh with like scrambling around the pocket and whatnot. Will Levis is he will run if he needs to. We saw plenty of that last year with how bad our O line was, but he's more of a stay calm and composed in the pocket. I'm going to deliver a big throw type of guy. And he also has a way stronger arm than Tajay Spears does. So, like, that's all I wanted to say. If you want my opinion on the backup QB situation, stay tuned because I'm going to have an episode about that in like a week or two from now. So, just wanted to let y'all know that. And so, Russell Wilson may be the worst idea out of just any type of backup QB. Yes, even someone like Josh Dobbs, who I don't have anything against Josh Dobbs, but his play style doesn't match up with Will Levis. Excuse me. Combine that with the fact that idiot Vols fans, because I'm a Vols fan myself, but I'm not, one of the idiot Vols fans. Once Will Levis does one thing bad, they're going to be saying that Josh Dobbs is the franchise QB. Like they were demanding us to, like those fans were demanding us to extend him after his 2-game stint with the Tennessee Titans. And I get it, okay? He played decent in those games, but he just wasn't good enough. All right? So, yeah, I would like I know that people are going to find this ridiculous, but I would much rather have a guy like Carson Wentz as our backup QB. And I know how much people don't like that name, and that's a sensitive name to some people, but he is a better idea than Russell Wilson is. All right? So just wanted to get that right out of the way because my overall thoughts on that are Russell Wilson is a bad idea, even as a backup. And obviously, he's not going to start for us because we're pretty settled in on our franchise QB. So, anyway, moving on. Now we got the mock draft. Sorry that it took a little bit to get there, but so with Goodell on, I'm gonna paint you a picture. With Goodell, he's on the podium. He has the card, and he just goes and says, "With the 7th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Rome Odunze, wide receiver, Washington." Yes, that's how I'm starting out this mock draft, and it's probably really predictable from here on out where I'm going to go with this. So, anyway, man. So Rome Odunze, y'all know him. He played at Washington, and there are obviously a lot of positives to him. He is a very physical receiver. He plays like DeAndre Hopkins, which is perfect because I know that like maybe you think, oh, similar play styles, they're not really going to mesh well. But here's the thing. The idea behind that is that DeAndre Hopkins is going to mentor someone like a Rome Odunze, you know? He's obviously still going to go ball out, but he's also going to help Rome Odunze throughout his first little NFL journey. You know what I'm saying? So, like, he is, yeah. So he's a physical receiver. He plays like D-Hop, but he's also like pretty fast too. Like a 4.47, I believe. I can't remember if it was a 4.47 or a 4.57, but either way, it's it's a really fast 40 time. Actually, no, it was a 4.47. Anyway, that's a fast 40 time, especially for someone that is considered a physical receiver. And he made Michael Penix look a lot better than he actually was. Like, let's be real. Come on now, y'all. Michael Penix is not the guy for whatever NFL franchise he goes to. But anyway, rapidly moving on. So obviously, there's also Malik Neighbors, who honestly I lost interest in, not because he's not bad, but just because I'm not too sure if y'all saw that interview that he took, and they brought up that, and they quizzed him on like, where are you going to get drafted? And he said, and he answered some questions. So it said Falcons or Titans. I'll tell you, whenever he's heard Titans, his face just, like, he was mad. Like, he was upset that there would even be a thought of him going to the Titans because he's too good for Tennessee, even though he said he wanted to take a trip on Broadway. But anyway, um, he also said that he would rather play for the Falcons over us, which I get that they're one quarterback away, but like imagine being drafted to the Falcons and they aren't one quarterback away. Or they aren't, or they don't get that one quarterback that they need, and their whole plan just hits the fan, and they can't do anything. But anyway, yeah, so I would rather have Roma Dunze, and even if I would rather have Neighbors, he's probably going to like the Giants or the Chargers or something like that. So, hey, I mean, if they both get taken, and we're doing the receiver idea, I don't agree with this. But then, if you're trying to go for a receiver at that point, trade down and go get either go get a receiver from a team that's willing to trade a receiver that they have, or or trade down, go get some picks, then take your receiver later in the first round. Again, that is a receiver idea. And also, I want to say this: most of the time in this video are going to be on the first two picks because there's a little bit of overlap with one of my picks. So, I just wanted to let y'all know that. So, yeah. Overall, I think Roma Dunze is the guy. He's a hard worker as well, as y'all could see by his cone time. He's a hard worker. He is a very good receiver that made his quarterback look a lot better than he actually was. So, anyway, that is the first pick that we make. Now, I think Roger Goodell, or some random celebrity, is going onto the stage to announce the Titans' 38th pick, or their second round pick. With the 38th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Patrick Paul, left tackle out of Houston. Yes, I have Patrick Paul going to the Titans at pick 8, at pick 8 of the second round, aka the man that made a big name for himself at the combine, but then he also became a he was also hyped up before the combine, and he is known as like this big physical receiver that really can develop into something incredible. And here's the thing. So here is one of the big positives of doing this instead of going for a tackle and then a receiver. We have Bill Callahan, one of the best offensive line coaches in NFL history. So, here's my thing. If we are getting one of the best offensive line coaches, again, in NFL history, and he is as good as he's hyped up to be, then we can sacrifice the idea of going for a left tackle in the first and wait until the second to go get someone else because we know that they're going to be in good hands. So, that's my thought on this. But anyway, Patrick Paul is a beast of a human being. I believe that he's like 6'7", 350 or something stupid like that. Like, dude is an absolute unit. And obviously, he's a little tall, so the tinier guys could very easily end up just eating him alive in the backfield. But that's something that can be worked on again because we have Bill Callahan. And yes, most of this pick is because we have Bill Callahan. And then there's also the fact that he came from Houston is a little concerning because Houston has not been the best football team over the past few years, but that's okay because we have Bill Callahan. No, I'm playing. No, no, that's okay because he has been good. It's just the rest of the roster has been really bad. So now here is the thought that I know that some people may think, and it's a thought that does scare me. And it's the thought of what if he's just another Nicholas Petit Frere? Now, before you say anything, I still think that he can be decent if Bill Callahan gets his hands on him, unironically. But like, second off, I think that this dude is definitely better than Nicholas Petit Frere. He didn't have a game like Petit Frere did in college against Michigan, where he just let up so many sacks that it felt like his quarterback was just getting rocked every single play. So, yeah, I don't really have that much else to say about him. Patrick Paul, second pick. And now I think the commissioner is coming back out, or a random celebrity is coming back out with our fourth round pick. I don't know the pick for this specifically, so I'm just going to go off a round. In the fourth round, with pick 100 something something, the Tennessee Titans select Kyrie Jackson, defensive back, Oregon. Yes, this is the player that overlapped from my last mock draft. So this one should be pretty easy because, like, I'm not going to talk about this one for too much longer because, again, I've already done this, dude. So, Kyrie Jackson is a physical specimen. Big, lanky, he's fast, and he's pretty good at run stopping. But here is the one thing. His pass protection can sometimes be a little iffy, and sometimes he just does not take enough risks. And that is the biggest problem with him. That worries me personally. But I think that it will be fine though, because you know, he can obviously develop into something else because we have Bill Callahan. No, I'm playing. Yeah, no. I'm gonna stop making that joke now, but yeah. No, Kyrie Jackson is a big physical defensive back that can really help out this team in the future. He's obviously not going to be day one. That's why he's being picked in round 4. But if we just let him develop over the next few years, then maybe he could end up being pretty good. All right. Or he could end up being good immediately. Tariq Woolen, you never know. All right. 5th round. Oh, yeah. And I think that the commissioner is calling for the 5th round pick. With the Titans' 5th round pick, they select Luke McCaffrey, wide receiver, Rice. Yes, I have the Titans selecting Christian McCaffrey's little brother in the 5th round. And no, this is not because I'm biased towards his older brother, because obviously his older brother's a beast and he's never going to be able to escape his shadow unless he ends up becoming the next Jerry Rice or something like that. But here's the thing. Luke McCaffrey is a very good football player. Like, he's fast, he is tall enough, and he finds his way into the end zone from what you can tell in college. And, he's got very similar stats to his brother. And I know what you're thinking. Wait, isn't that considered kind of a bad thing because, his brother is a running back? Well, I understand where you're coming from on that, but you got to also think about that CMC also works as a wide receiver, and that's where he gets a lot of his work. So just think about that. And also, Luke McCaffrey, obviously, he's going to be looked down upon because he played at Rice, but I genuinely do believe that he could end up being like the Puka Nacua of this draft. So, that's all I got to say about him because we're starting to run out of time and I got to get through these next 3 because I also really got to use the bathroom. So all right, and the commissioner is making his next call with the 6th round pick. The Tennessee Titans select Jalen Wright, running back, Tennessee. Now, okay, so hear me out. Okay, I'm not trying to be one of those insane Vols fans that thinks that every Vol should be a Titan and then we'll have the best roster in the NFL or something stupid like that. No. Jalen Wright, I think, would pair pretty well. I think that it would be very fun to watch Jalen Wright pair with Tyjae Spears, and it would give us the running back too. It would save us a lot. It would save us a couple $1 million, and it would be absolutely. And obviously, I got a little bit of bias towards this because obviously, I would love to see Jalen Wright be the running back for the Tennessee Titans. But he's got pretty good hands and he is a very good runner. So, like, whenever he comes out onto the field, we'll still have that sense of unpredictability like people preach about in the national media or in the Titans media, if you will. So, anyway, we got two more picks. My first 7th round pick is I'm not going to do the commissioner thing for these next two because, again, I'm going a little overtime. But first pick is Charles Turner III, center out of LSU. I only went with him because he was out of LSU and, as an experimental center because of Bill Callahan. That time it wasn't a joke. And he could end up being our and I don't think he'll end up being our center of the future. I think he'll more than likely be a backup, let's be real. But like he could be a good backup, and that's really all I gotta say about him. Then it's Jalen Charles, safety out of Missouri. That is a lot to go through. Now, here is the question that's going to get brought up. Would I rather go with the receiver then tackle or the tackle then receiver draft? My opinion is that I would rather go with the tackle than receiver draft because of how deep the receiver class is. Like, we could go get like an A.D. Mitchell in the 2nd round, and people would be fine with that, or a Troy Franklin, or heck, if Xavier Worthy still falls into the 2nd round and doesn't go to the Chiefs, that's also an option. So, anyway, I have Instagram, Twitter, like I mentioned earlier in the video. And for people listening over the podcast, I do have a YouTube channel and I have a TikTok. So, anyway, that's going to do it all for me. This has been a rundown of the next draft for your Tennessee Titans. I love y'all and tighten up.